Good evening, little ones. Anyway, so, I say good evening because this is slightly late, although this is a video where it's a bit more important I get it out sort of at the time that it's relevant, because this obviously will not be particularly relevant come Thursday, which is another slight frustration. I'm not going to be there during the day on Thursday. I'm hoping that we can record a patch notes video on the day. I assume Tyler will be interested in that still. If not, we'll do it on Friday. I think we'll do a podcast on Saturday, sort of going over it and sort of other things surrounding it at the time, at the moment in Deep Rock. Obviously, we're not going to be able to play it. That is the maintenance update, which is this is the trailer breakdown for. So yeah, I need to get this out as soon as possible. I'm going to go through it, stop it every time I feel like I need to, which I should probably put in a word about everything that I can, and obviously the section with the more juice to it, but I mean the less face value segment about the weapon balancing. That's probably going to be the longest segment of this video, where I really crack down and try and figure out exactly what's going on in terms of the changes that have been made, in terms of what they show. Obviously, there's a lot that they haven't shown, plenty of changes that we haven't seen yet. They really only showed us a couple of things, but either way, this is the trailer for the November maintenance update, which I guess is still called that.
Hey Aaron and Mark here from Ghost Ship Games.
So it's already interesting to have Mark, the new content writer, narrating this. I think that's an interesting decision, and I think it makes perfect sense for the maintenance updates. It definitely feels interesting to reserve. Well, actually, if I'm not mistaken, Mark is the guy who normally does it. Oh no, it's Robert who normally does it. Robert Fries, who is the voice of Mission Control and also the art director at Ghost Ship. He usually narrates the trailers, which is perfect. But I think this makes a bit more sense because, and this suits Aaron's role as more of a communicator for Ghost Ship in terms of putting out as much communication sort of material as he can. And this video, the trailers, they don't ignore the fact that it's a game, but they're kind of done through the lens of this is actually Mission Control briefing you on the current situation in a story sense. This is pretty face value. This is them explaining an update, which makes a lot more sense for Aaron to do. There's no sort of playing around with it being Deep Rock. Although for some reason Aaron sounds like he's almost starting to pick up a Danish accent, or even out he's trying to sound like Robert. It's kind of confusing. Either way, I want to point out how much I like the fact that they're doing a trailer for this anyway. I wasn't inherently expecting it. Not every update has gotten trailers in the past. Obviously, all the seasons have, but we haven't received an update that isn't a season since season 1. The only thing you could consider one was the addition of the small meteors post season 3 launch. So it's interesting that they're choosing to do a trailer. It shows that they're sort of on it a bit more with the marketing. I can't imagine they would ever let an update not have a trailer again. I think that's going to be the case from here on out. They'll all have trailers, and it just sort of helps to sell the fact that this is pushing the game forward. This isn't like a completely switched off thing that you don't really need to think about. It's absolutely an update that's going to push the game in a certain direction. It's moving on from season 4 to a certain extent. And it just pleased me to see a trailer for a lot of other reasons. It feels nice, basically, is what I'm saying.
We are here to give you a quick rundown of the November maintenance update.
Okay, I don't need it to be on 1440.
Galactic. First up, Rockpox. You've put up a
They're the maintenance update logo, which I quite like. I get the feeling this is what they're going to be from here on out. I don't know how I feel about, because the problem is there's nothing wrong with it being the November maintenance update, but then it's going to get really kind of awkward when there's another maintenance update in November, if that ever happens. And then it's going to be like, we have to call it November 2023 maintenance update, and it just doesn't roll off the tongue, frankly. If they can call this the maintenance update and then possibly come up with a different name for them from here on out, that would be brilliant. Especially given that I have no idea what they're going to do next with the second maintenance update before season 5. Either way, I do like the logo though, but it's clearly like a season 4 thing. Is how they're sort of doing it, which makes sense. I think that kind of confirms it sort of pushes towards the confirmation that season's going to be a year-long thing from here on out. And these are the season 4 maintenance updates in a sense, but they're still, like I said, I think they're still moving on from the previous season in a certain way. Particularly season 4 in this case. I don't think it's going to be as dire when season 5 rolls around and we get the first maintenance update after that. Either way.
hell of a fight against the lithophage virus, but we know that not everybody wants to keep up that fight forever. That's That's why we're giving you the ability to opt out of Rockpox duties if you so choose. Once you reach level 100 on your performance pass, you'll unlock the option to...
So yeah, it's still a level 100 requirement. Still, I should say, still based on the last post about it, which was about, well, was it about a month ago now? Can't have been. Anyway, I want to go back a few seconds. Catch the actual text here. I don't think this text is particularly important. We defended the planet, your colleagues, and our profit margins against the Rockpox menace. You've shown a steely resolve against the worst this plague could throw at you, from lift-phase outbreaks to corruptors. Many dwarves fell where you triumphed, and for that, you've earned our respect. In recognition of your hard work, management has approved you to be relieved of your lift-phase duties, should you choose to. So, it still doesn't explain... stay alert for Season 5. It still doesn't explain the relationship between a host and client players who... have different options here. Some have the toggle on, some have it off, a variety of the two. It doesn't really explain the situation. I think most people are going under the assumption that the host dictates the mission, but there's also the weird sort of thing that kind of means there's going to be two different maps, although based on what we see in just a moment, it sort of looks like it's just going to be the same, except the lift phase stuff will be swapped around, I guess. But then the confusing thing is, if it's going to be how they normally are, how a lift-phase outbreak warning would normally be if it was a normal warning, then it would be scattered around the map. It's not just going to be removed from the lift-phase zone, it's going to be spread out as well. So it's going to be quite a different map, even if it's all technically the same, aside from the lift-phase zones themselves and also where the lift-phase warnings are placed. Anyway.
Season 4 content.
Okay, disable Season 4 content. This is obviously an important panel, I was kind of explaining. Consequences of disabling it. The corrupted zone in the mission map will disappear. Chance of encountering lift-phase warnings will be equivalent to other warnings. Chance of lift-phase corruptors and lift-phase meteorite strikes, I assume including small meteor, will be minimised to the same levels as previous season events. Be harder to obtain plague hearts, obviously. Be able to complete season challenges regarding lift-phase warnings, obviously. That's not really technical information, that's more informal sort of information. It's just like, yeah, you're going to miss out on some stuff, but isn't that what you want?
Doing this makes the lithophage corrupted zone disappear from the mission map and reduces the chances of encountering
See, as we saw on the map, it didn't change except for the moving the zones. Everything stayed the same, which I assume is how it's going to be when it comes to the relationship between host and client.
Lithophage warnings and events. This feature is completely optional, and you can always turn it back on. We've also made a few small tweaks so that rockpox effects are less harsh. It's now easier to avoid infection buildup and easier to break out of when you're stuck.
Okay, I feel like an idiot. I think I just feel what's going on. That's actually Mark speaking. That's not Aaron. Aaron's not picking up a Danish accent. That's someone else. Anyway, yes, the relieving of rockpox effects. I think I want to play that back a moment.
It's now easier to avoid infection buildup and
so infection buildup will be slower, I guess.
Easier to break out of when you're stuck.
So I think I need a bit of an explanation on that, and we'll get it on Thursday. How is it easier? Is it simply quicker, or is it a different button to press, or something like that? I mean, it doesn't really explain, but they're still going at the issues people want them to with the right approach, which is go at the issue and turn it down. You know, that's kind of like the right approach, isn't it? Like, a sort of twofold thing when it comes to solving a problem in a game. First of all, identify it. Second of all, take the direction that people want with it, which is tune it down. Even if we don't have specifics here, they're still doing the right thing.
We also made it so the lithophage corruptor doesn't run away so fast, and it telegraphs its attacks more clearly.
So the corruptor wasn't mentioned specifically in the original preview for the maintenance update, but I'm not surprised that it's getting specific attention either. Out of the 3 events, it's the only one that needs that kind of tweaking. It's also a big, dangerous boss enemy. They made it so that it's slower and telegraphs its attacks better. I think those are good changes. The one thing I'd still like to see is a bit more of a role for actual weapons to play in the Corruptor fight. But either way, in my opinion, the Corruptor's a boss fight that was only slightly off and was sort of earning a lot of people's distaste. Not unfairly, but it was so close to being... It's just on the edge of being like people would like it, but it's just over the edge of people disliking it, you know? I think only some very small tweaks were needed to make it good, and I think it seems like that's what's been done. We'll have to wait and see, obviously. They can do further tweaking, They're not completely absent from Deep Rock after this, Stingtail.
Over in wildlife news, we're increasing the cooldown on the Stingtail's signature grab attack, especially after a successful grab.
Okay, so that's actually interesting that it's both, because originally I believe the preview mentioned it would only be after a successful grab, but now it's just either way. But if it's specifically after a successful grab and that would be a longer cooldown, that makes a lot of sense actually. And it's a very good thing.
So you won't be getting yoinked all over the place so much. And we want to make the Stingtail a little easier to take down solo, so we're adjusting its health scaling and breakpoints and making it more vulnerable to electric and explosive.
So electric and explosive is very important. This could come up a little bit later in the trailer. But yeah, I think this will help a lot of certain builds that sort of rely on explosive damage or electricity and perhaps don't have a weak point multiplier anywhere in the build, or arm breaking of any kind, or even stun of any kind, which is more common than you may think. I think it's actually going to help a lot of people, especially the explosive thing, actually. I think that's actually the most significant of the two. Either way, good stuff, making it less aggressive, making it more fragile, and obviously that sounds like they're nerfing it to the ground, but I don't think they are. I think the Stingtail's going to be in a good place after this change. Spreader's up next, and obviously that's a much more modest change, but... yeah.
Explosive damage. Next up is the Septic Spreader. We've made it so that the spreader's acid globs are now vulnerable to projectiles in midair. In other words, the globs are now shooting.
Oh, if I didn't need to point it out, we'll get to the weapon and maintenance system, which adds the new paint jobs, but they've been displayed throughout the video. I don't know the number of this one, but I mean, it's green. It's one of the new paint jobs, basically. I believe every time you see a weapon in a dwarf's hand in this trailer, it's been one of the new weapon maintenance paint jobs.
Downable. Finally, dreadnoughts and...
So, the spreader thing is very simple. There's no sort of implication that it's going to, damage enemies if you shoot the projectile down or anything like that, but, yeah.
Projectiles in midair. In other words, the glove...
It's an interesting change that we never thought of ourselves, and that's why I think it's so great, because I already thought the spreader was in a good place, specifically health-wise. I thought it was as frail as it should be. It's got a very small amount of armor, very big exposed weak point. It feels good to kill. And I liked the way it actually used tactics and could actually be an actual mortar, but obviously that's kind of unfair in that it could actually attack you without being attackable. And so if they changes that, in the fact that you can now counter its attack, even if it's out of sight, because you can shoot the projectile down. And of course they didn't tweak the health or anything, because that was as good as it needed to be. It was in the right place health-wise. So props to Ghost Ship for taking the right direction here. Yeah.
Globs are now shoot downable. Finally, dreadnoughts and oppressors can now be properly electrocuted.
You're goddamn right.
Although they won't get slowed down quite as much as other glyphids.
Makes perfect sense. I find the image used kind of the footage used kind of strange, because you could already do that. You could already use phaser bolts to electrocute oppressors and dreadnoughts. The difference is obviously we can now electrocute them properly from any source, like electric reload, the Drax electric upgrade, the smart weapon electric upgrade, the Stubby, coil gun. All of these sources of electricity that didn't work before now will work. And that's going to be fantastic, especially for the Stubby. The Stubby needed help. The Stubby's getting help. This is both oppressors and dreadnoughts, the biggest enemies. Dreadnought specifically. It's going to change eliminations a lot for people who want to use the Stubby or want to use the electric build in general. I know I'm going to enjoy this change. It's really interesting. The implication that it was a bug, I don't think it was a bug, but it sort of makes it feel like it from the way they're talking about it. But yeah, still, this is going to have a big effect on electric builds. It's going to be awesome.
That's it for critters. Now on to guns. For starters, we've got some weapon buffs on the way. We'll have all...
Okay, oh, I wasn't meant to mute, I was just meant to...
For starters, we've got some weapon buffs on the way.
So, Stubby, clearly getting changed quite in a lot of ways. Not as many ways as you might expect. I sort of did a rundown. I compared it to Carl, the Stubby, every change that I could identify. I think some of them are more obvious than others. We look at the mod tree. It's actually exactly the same in Tier 1. It's exactly the same in Tier 2. Tier 3 is also exactly the same. Based on what I can see, given that it's at 540 max ammo, which is how much we would get if we were to add the first ammo upgrade, it is the same values as well, unless that doesn't mean they didn't move any from this mod to the base weapon. That is still possible though. Same for the second ammo mod. Actually, oh yeah, because it's a second ammo mod that they did that for. Electrocution chance is at 50%, so they didn't change that. As in it's stuck at. Well, we don't know that it doesn't have a higher electrocution chance. You know, it starts at 25%, goes up to 50% of the upgrade. It could have a higher starting chance, could be up to 30% now. We don't actually know. Tier 4 is where things actually start to change. We have the weak point modifier, which is plus 25% in this case. It's actually currently plus 30%. They've actually nerfed that, which I'm very surprised by. I wonder if it's going to be any kind of consolation for that. It could be the case that Carl was just wrong. I hope so. I really hope they didn't actually nerf that. They didn't really need to, in my opinion. And also, of course, inductive bullets, which is still there, and we can't tell if it's been changed at all. Armor breaking has been added, and it will go on to reveal it's a plus 300% bonus to armor breaking, which is good. It's good enough. I think the Stubby's always demanded an armor breaking modification. I think it's going to be a very useful change for a lot of different builds. Basically, any build that is a single target focus, the Stubby's going to benefit from armor breaking for. A lot of hybrid builds, definitely the kind of builds that I like to use with the Stubby, going to benefit from this. So, well, some of the builds that I use with the Stubby. So I'm very happy about this. Armor breaking tier 4 is a good addition. Tier 5 also got an addition. So we're sort of looking at the. Also, let's have a quick look at the magazine mods. The magazine mods are completely unchanged. That's something I disagree with immediately, though. So tier 2 magazines plus 10. It appears to be, because we're at 40 here, with a minus 20 here because the player is about to choose one that isn't this magazine mod, which currently adds 20, and that hasn't changed. I vehemently disagree with this. I think there should be a different one altogether, and it doesn't seem like Electric Arc has changed at all. I can't imagine it has. What has been added is an accuracy mod in tier 5, which is already bizarre. To the best of my knowledge, this is the only accuracy mod in tier 5 in the game. Which doesn't surprise me. I don't think it's inherently befitting of a 5th tier upgrade. It's quite a bizarre change. The only one is Battle Frenzy. Yeah, I think that might be the only one. I want to be sure though. Looking like it. Oh, Bulldog. Okay, it's not out of the question. It's not ridiculous anymore. Okay. So yeah, but they added and I think I hope they've done some changes to the overclocks that make a single target build more valid, because that would aid the improved accuracy in seeming like a good move, and especially adding the execution to dreadnoughts and oppressors. Single target Stubby is sort of become more of a thing anyway, but I still can't imagine myself justifying it. It looks like it's minus 60%. I don't know why it says 90 here at first though. Hold on, I'm going to have to mute this for a moment and just see if what's happening here. Right, there's no sort of changes to where the cursor is in the screen. So, oh, okay, sorry, I almost made a big mistake there. So basically it's minus 60%. So, currently equipped is on that screen is EM Refire Booster, the balanced overclock, a very popular one. Very good. Brings our base spread up to 150%. This brings it down by 60 down to 90, which means it will go down to 40% without EM Refire Booster. 60% is quite a big reduction. That's quite the accuracy bonus. It's probably going to be noticed. I'm still trying to imagine how they're going to make it justifiable picking that over Electric Arc. I don't inherently believe that they have. That's not how I operate. I don't operate in blind faith, but I imagine they have thought about it at least. Anyway, that is everything for the Stubby. It's clearly got an A facelift of sorts. It's not to the same degree as the Sabat with the GK2. I wonder if further changes could be made in the next maintenance update if this isn't enough. I am interested in see what overclock changes there are, because there has to be some overclock changes for the Stubby in this update, because overclock changes are a feature of this update, as we're about to see.
We'll have all the nitty-gritty details in the patch notes, but as a few highlights, we've got some buffs and new build options coming for the Engineer's Stubby SMG, and
let's play.
A handful of underloved overclocks.
Underloved is a very good term to use, and I think this sort of displays that quite well. What we just saw was roll control for the bridge cutter. How do we know this? Well, it's not spinning death. Spinning death spins on the x-axis. This is spinning on the other axis. I don't know if it would be why it's sort of spinning round and round as it moves sort of over and under, I guess would be the right motion, like a clock. So So it is roll control. It's obviously spinning a lot faster, and there was also a light guidance of the projectile in play during that clip. It's obviously taken Reddit by not by storm, I should say, but someone did post this clip, and it would obviously caught some attention. Yeah, so the tracking is an interesting mechanic. I'm still struggling to imagine how useful it would really be. But either way, this is enough of a buff. This is roll control spinning a lot faster and having it so the projectile tracks your cursor slightly. I think it's cursor based, I believe, from what it looks like. And I'm going to just say right now, that's going to be a jump in category. Roll control is going to jump up at least one category. It's going to at least become a balance, possibly even unstable. If it wasn't unstable, I'd expect some kind of other addition, like some extra damage or something like that. But either way, it looks exciting, and that's what I want to see from all of these underused overclocks that they mentioned. I want to see what the other ones are, of course, as well.
Stubby SMG, and we're reworking a handful of underloved overclocks. In this update, we're also rolling out the new weapon maintenance reward system. It's pretty simple. Earn enough experience with any gun equipped, and you'll unlock a sweet new paint job for that weapon. We're starting out with 4 new paint jobs to earn for each gun, 1 for each season we've done so far. We'll keep this system for future seasons, and as always, it won't be season locked, so you'll still be able to earn everything at any time, even if you don't manage it before the next season. Alrighty, that's everything major.
So Mark put it better than I ever could. He explained the weapon maintenance system in full. You access it from the season terminal. All the weapons are there. You simply earn the experience for them by playing with them. Then you can claim the first of the weapon maintenance paint jobs. And it seems as though it will go in order from the first up to the 4th. They added 1 for each previous season. And you get it. They're sort of tied to XP earned while using the weapon. The last I heard was around 30,000 XP. Obviously, we don't actually have the numbers for that officially. We'll have to see. I'm not sure if they would put them in the patch notes. But either way, I think the weapon maintenance system is something a lot of people are looking forward to, myself included. It's definitely the best thing about this update, even if I'm probably going to have the most fun with the weapon balance changes. It's just a great addition. And obviously, we already knew that it was not, we already knew that it was going to be a seasonal thing. There'll be 1 added per season, and that's just fantastic. And there's really not much else to say about it, apart from that. So.
In the November maintenance update, it launches on PC on November 16th and hits consoles 2 weeks later.
Rock and stone, miners. Ghost Ship Games out.
Yeah, it will release on the 16th, which is in 2 days' time. It's going to be on Thursday. It's going to be exactly when they said it would be, at the middle of the month. Or the Thursday at the middle of the month, You could argue that the 15th is the middle. It depends on how many days are in this month. It's a 30-day month, so the 15th would be the day. But obviously, we've got to go to Thursday, the 16th. And then 2 weeks later, for us console nerds, which is going to be the 1st... Oh, no, it's going to be the 30th. Okay, 30th of November. That's nice. It's still kind of annoying. I feel like an absolute idiot because I said something about it on Reddit. I think Jacob was responding to people who were complaining, maybe. I don't know. I said something about... I just said how great this looks, but I'm also kind of frustrated about the 2-week wait. And people started... And I can't remember exactly what it said, so maybe the responses were appropriate. But people started sort of explaining it to me. Even Anders from Ghost Ship dropped in, who's a good friend. Hello, Anders. Dropped in to sort of explain how it's sort of something to do with certification between Microsoft and Sony. And I already knew sort of the main reason. I was sort of just bringing up the difference when it's been like, a 1 week wait before. In this case, it's 2 weeks, and it has been 2 weeks before. And I was just wondering if there's a noticeable difference, like a reason that they can actually explain for that. But I doubt there is. But it still interests me. And it's still slightly frustrating that we have to wait 2 weeks. Half a month is not a small amount of time. But either way, it all looks great. I'm glad we're getting these sort of smaller, more refined, positive updates again. Really great to see. And I think I just about covered everything. So, that's it. That's all there is to it. We'll just have to wait and see. And we'll see how many overclocks got buffed. They said underused or underloved. Roll control is one of those. What else is in that category? Return to sender. PGL cleans. compact rounds on the PGL. Stunner. Turret Hawk, maybe? Armor break mods on the smart rifle. A bunch of others. We'll just have to wait and see. Engineers getting some love. That's all that matters. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to stay on top of everything to do with Deep Rock and Road Core, then also click the bell as well. And that's it. Thanks for tuning in.